Yes, guys, welcome to Chasing Green Arrows. We are back, the dynamic duo we've been dubbed online as. I'm Gianni, he's Dean. Dean, how are you, mate? It's been a few weeks since we've been on.
It has, hasn't it? It's felt really weird. Yeah, I'm good, mate. I'm good. Actually, I've been very good. So I went to Milan, then I went to Bilbao last weekend, where I went to Athletic Club against Atletico Madrid. And then last night, best of all, I was at Fulham to see Steve Gerrard get the sack. So that was probably the pick of the bunch, despite the glamorous trips I've been on. But so yeah, I had a cracker, mate. Are you good?
Yeah, mate, I'm very good. I've been in Qatar for a couple of weeks. We missed you on Monday's stream, but yeah, good
Yeah.
to be back. Good to be back. I need to ask you about your trips briefly to Milan and Bilbao. I'm sure you've spoken about this, but Milan, what did you think to the city? And Bilbao, tell us about Ander Herrera.
Yeah, so Milan, really good city. Took a good 12 to 24 hours to get used to the culture and like getting someone to actually notice you in a bar or restaurant and serve you. But once you get your head around like that change, that was good. And I loved it. We had such a good time. Definitely going to go back. We both enjoyed it. Bilbao is amazing. Like I've 100% recommend anyone that gets the chance to go to Bilbao, go to Athletic Club. If you don't know, like Athletic Bilbao could only play players from their Basque region. So it's like, imagine basically Liverpool could only pick people born in Liverpool. It's basically what it comes down to. And they've never been relegated from La Liga. It's absolutely astonishing. It's all built on like how much the team means to you, basically. And that's what brings you through. And like their academy is really good and stuff. So that, yes, the game was a bit of a letdown. Athletic lost 1-0 to Atletico. But yeah, it's been brilliant. Yeah, then we saw Ander Herrera. We're making a documentary for New Balance, and I'll let you all know when that's out. But Ander Herrera, we spent a little bit of time with him too at the training ground. Absolute top man, like one of the nicest guys I've actually probably met in football. Such a gent. Yeah, and by the way, like Iñaki Williams had this G-Wagon that's absolutely ludicrous. Like, what a baller he was. Like, just, you see him driving out the training ground, you're like, okay, yeah, so he is the main man. Like, fair enough.
And remind me, Inaki Williams, he'll be going to the World Cup because the two Williams brothers, one plays for Spain and one plays for
Ghana, yeah.
Ghana. So
yeah.
only one's going to the World Cup, probably.
Well, yes, but yes, it's really interesting, that story. And like, it's, yeah, as I say, like if you get the chance, like go there. Like even the museum, the club museum is just amazing. Such an interesting club. So 100% recommend.
Love that. Love that. Guys in the chat, good to see so many of you back for our reunion. Good to see familiar faces, FPL River and Haley and Steve and Vindy. CH is with us.
Feels like the old days. It's like a school reunion.
It's nice. It's nice. This is it's like American Pie, the reunion. It'll be, we'll have a fun hour ahead. Get your questions in, of course. Do hit that like button as well. And look, we're with you for the next hour. We've got Against the Obvious coming up. We've got our team reveals coming up. We've also got a wildcard draft. Now, this is going to be useful, sure, for those on a wildcard, but hopefully for those not on a wildcard, I've put together my 15-man squad of players that I think you should be looking at, be picking. Remember, we've got unlimited transfers in just 4 game weeks' time. So every pick now feels like a short-term punt, right? You're picking players for the next 4 weeks only because, of course, we've got this new treat, this new present from FPL where we get unlimited transfers. Oxlane says, evening G and D. Nice to have the family back together. This is the Chasing Green Arrows family. It really is. So, yeah, thank you, mate. Hello, Tiffany, as well. Let's start with a little bit of chat from last night because I was at Leicester, but Dean, you were at Fulham, and that was the bigger game from an FPL perspective. I had Leon Bailey, who the only time I needed him to get me points, and he wasn't on my bench because of the blank game week, he ended up getting subbed pre-60 and booked. I got a 0-pointer for Leon Bailey. It was just a bad night for Villa all round, though, wasn't it, right?
It's as bad as it gets. I mean, for Steven Gerrard, his team concede a penalty, score an own goal, and get a red card and lose 3-0. It literally couldn't have gone any worse for him. Earlier in the game, he was out in his dugout, he's trying to command. And in the last 10 minutes, he'd kind of just edged backwards into the dugout and was kind of just like hiding almost. It was embarrassing that, everyone's singing you're getting sacked in the morning. Turned out he got sacked about an hour later. Fulham, we played quite well. It was a bit, basically, remember that game we lost, got stuffed by Newcastle at home a month or so ago. And that game, obviously, we got a red card and just letting loads of goals. Everything went against us. It was the complete opposite. Everything went for us last night. Even Mitro scoring a penalty that wasn't very good manages to go in, and you just know it's your night. So, look, maybe this changes things in terms of FPL, because we might start looking towards Villa players again. Like, I'm going to have to wait to see who they go for as manager. They've got a few different ideas at the moment, so it'll be interesting to see what path they go to. But you've got to imagine things can't get any worse than this.
Yeah, it's been really bad. I think it's the right decision. I don't like calling for managers to be sacked, but I thought for a while he's just not the right fit. And guys, if you owned Mitro last night and you owned Andreas Pereira, you were unlucky. Andreas with 3, Mitro with 6. When a forward scores, you expect bonus points. Mitro didn't get there. He also had one cleared off the line from an Andreas corner. And then Andreas goes and I think hits the bar from the free kick as well. So it was a really good Martinez save. But the two of them could have gone so much bigger. And moving forward, they've got Leeds up next. I think these are guys, even Andreas, you probably want in your 11 because he looks really good. He looks really good.
Yeah, he's such a key player in what we do. And I've got him obviously in my squad, and he's definitely got a shout of player. And we'll obviously go through our teams, everyone, in a bit. And I do need some advice this week. I've got a transfer that I really don't know what to do with it. So I'm hoping to resolve that by 8 p.m.
Yeah, good stuff. Mark says, I predicted before the season started, Gerrard would be gone by Christmas. Great, cool. If signings were part of the old boy network, no imagination whatsoever. I mean, they've spent a lot of money in terms of bookies odds. It's slim pickings. I'm sure most Villa fans would say we would love Pochettino. He's at 8-1. Favourite is Amorim, who manages Sport in Lisbon. He'll, of course, I assume, being a Portuguese speaker, he'll be linked with the Wolves job as well. Sean Dyche is second favourite at 7-1. Poch at 8-1. Thomas Frank at 8. Unai Emery at 8. John Terry at 25-1. Interesting, but yeah, very slim pickings. I don't think Pochettino is going to be hard to attract him. What do you reckon, Dean? What's your take on that?
Well, like, for the past month or so, there's a story around Pochettino and his camp has been like, oh, he would be interested in the Villa job if it became available. So I was thinking, well, look, then get rid of Gerrard. If Pochettino's genuinely interested in this job, then you get rid of Gerrard and you make that happen. But then, since Gerrard actually got the sack last night, good journalists have kind of played down the Pochettino thing a bit, and they're talking about Amorim quite heavily. Amorim, it seems a bit of a gamble to me, because everything else I've been told is like they would prefer someone with Premier League experience. And that does make sense given what's happened so far under Steven Gerrard. Yep. I'm not sure Sean Dyche is the answer. But I think that there are opportunities out there. I think someone mentioned Thomas Tuchel. There's a funny meme going around, actually, like about a joke of Thomas Tuchel getting a phone call, and the only discussion was, how did you get my phone number? Please don't call me again. I'm not interested. But so I don't know whether Tuchel would be interested in a job like that. Like, if you want to think about a bit left field, someone said to me earlier, like, if Villa wait and Gareth Southgate doesn't stay
former captain
the World Cup, he's a former Villa captain. He's done pretty well, like results-wise with England. Like, it's not the worst shout I've ever heard. I mean, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but like, through all the different things I've heard today, that's what I haven't actually seen reported. But it did make me think, yeah, stranger things have happened. I see someone there saying, I'm a Villa fan and would take Michael Beale. We've got to bear in mind here, obviously, Michael Beale was at Villa with Steven Gerrard. Since he left, Villa have fallen off a cliff, and QPR, where he's gone, are now top of the Championship. Yeah. But Michael Beale's just turned down the Wolves job, and he's talking about loyalty, and it was just too soon to walk away, wouldn't do it. Makes me think he's not going to do Aston Villa either. So I don't think that will happen.
I think he's at 12-1. So yeah, it's interesting, the Wolves job, because he's a Portuguese speaker. And obviously, when Wolves recruit, they need a Portuguese speaker. It makes complete sense. But
yeah, Wolves now waiting, aren't they? Wolves are going to wait it out until the new year, it sounds like. So after being turned down twice by Lopetegui and him, sounds like Steve Davis is going to be given the next 4 games while they look for a solution.
Yeah, and they did look good. Even in their defeat to Palace, that first half, Wolves were really good. Yeah, guys, if you're looking for a budget player, he played left back. I think he made his Wolves debut. Okay, he's had 1 minute in game week 11, but game week 12, he got 6 points. He got the assist. Hugo Bueno Lopez. He's 3.9 million. So the cheapest defender in the game. A wand of a left foot, which he put in for the assist. I might even be buying him this game week. We'll see our
Really?
teams coming
I saw
up.
that assist and I was like, who on earth is that?
Yeah, I was like, that's not 8 Nori.
Oh,
Nice to hear this, Kunigas. First time watching live. How do you feel about game week 12? Was it kind of overhyped? 2 best teams weren't playing. I had 9 players stayed the same rank. Yeah, like fair play. You didn't take loads of hits to get an 11 out because City and Arsenal players, I think moving forward for the next 4 game weeks, you probably want them. So yeah, we'll talk more about that moving forward, but it was a bit of an underwhelming week. I don't think anyone had massive greens. I don't think anyone had massive red arrows. But of course, if you are new to this channel, you watch this channel, you're almost guaranteed green arrows. It's in the name, right? So do give us a subscribe if you're new around here. And we do these streams every Monday, every Friday at 7 for an hour. We got lots of features running throughout the show. First up, and we do this every Friday, we have a little look at Fresh Off the Press.
Yeah, so it might not have been an amazing game week, but Man United were amazing. It was the best performance that they've produced under Erik ten Hag. I was really, really impressed with the fact that they continued to play with such intention and energy throughout the whole 90 minutes. We have not seen that from this team for a long, long time. So you come into this next game week and you're thinking, okay, like maybe we do look at Man United. Obviously, it's Chelsea away, so it's not like a banker. But they really need Martial back. And injury news from United today is Martial remains sidelined. Like, it feels like such a shame that he can't get fit. Obviously, we didn't even expect him to have a career at Man United after he was loaned out last season. But he fits really well with what they're doing right now. So I think that is really a shame for United fans, for Martial too, that he's not going to be available for this one. Christian Eriksen, he did come on against Tottenham and he is available for Chelsea. It'll be interesting to see what lineup United put together. Just so you'll know, we are going to go through the likely lineups for Chelsea v Man United in a bit. So stick with us for that. I've done some predicted lineups, but there are a couple of issues that I think we all need to discuss and have an opinion on for that one. On the Tottenham side of things, obviously, like, they were rubbish. It's all very well, like, playing this style of football where you're happy to have such a fine margin and leave things in the balance and then hope that your resistance pays off and that you can counter and the Son, Kane stuff pays off. When Kulusevski is not in this team, they do not seem to have the same links. And Kulusevski, today, Antonio Conte says, may not play for Tottenham again until after the World Cup.
Ooh.
That's pretty big deal for any Tottenham asset that you've got, really, because I think Tottenham are a much worse team without him, particularly attacking-wise. Defensive, you're probably still all right with a Perisic or whatever, because they will still keep some clean sheets and he'll still pick up some points here and there. But it has led me to a little bit concerned about like a Harry Kane pick, for example, who I've got, because I do feel that Kulusevski makes that team click quite a lot. Let us know what you think in the comments of Tottenham, by the way, and whether they really are impacted as heavily as I think they are by Kulusevski. Dean, do you think Conte will leave Spurs at the end of the season? I think it could either go either way. Like, to be honest, I think he's tempted to sign a new contract, but this is the problem with Conte's style of football. It's all or nothing. It's like 1 minute you're talking about him as title contenders and how great things are, best start in 20 years. The next minute, you're like, that was the worst performance we've seen in ages. We've gone to Old Trafford, have been absolutely battered. Get him out. Because when you don't get the result, all you remember is how boring it's been. Yeah. That's the problem that Conte's got. They've got to make a decision. Like, are they in this for winning football and they've got to wait for that? Or do they want to be entertained? Under Conte, you're not getting both. You're getting one or the other. And you've got to hope he gets those results. And then the third thing I just think to address is Saka has picked up a knock. Arteta has addressed it. And he says he did get a kick and he's been limping, but hopefully he will be fine. Obviously, a lot of Saka owners out there these days. Sounds like you're probably going to be okay, but be playing on your nerves a little bit leading into kickoff. Will Saka be in the lineup?
Yeah, Martinelli came on as a sub in that Europa League game, but again, he was carrying a little knock. But it was good to
Yeah, it
see him
was.
come off the bench. Like he was clearly fine for him to
Yeah.
come off the bench at 1-0. So yeah, Martinelli owners fine. Saka owners maybe a little bit squeaky bum time. We should
Yeah.
also mention, I guess, because this has come sort of slightly later on in the day. Loads of questions about it, and Haley asked 5 minutes ago, and I said, look, we'll talk about it in my team reveal, but it seems like we should probably talk about it now, and that is the fitness of Darwin Nunez, because he's getting a lot of love this week. I am planning on bringing Darwin in. Haven't done it yet, but Jurgen Klopp initially said that Liverpool had no injuries heading into the game against Forest. He was asked about it in his presser earlier. But then he said he's on Darwin. He's one of the cases where we need to have a look because he was not injured, but he felt something. And I don't know if he feels that still today. This is referring to him coming off early midweek. And what the medical department tells me, then we have to see. We know he's had a bit of a hamstring issue. We know they've got Ajax in the Champions League in a really important game, but we also know there's no Jota and no Diaz. So they kind of need Darwin fit. If I was a betting man, I'd say Darwin starts. The beauty of this fixture is it's the early kickoff at 12:30. The other beauty of this fixture is that Liverpool, one of those few teams in the Premier League where you get quite a lot of leaks in terms of who may or may not be starting. Now, I sometimes take these leaks with a pinch of salt, and you guys should too. But what I'd say is if you're on FPL Twitter Saturday morning, you might see a couple of reliable sources with that leaked 11. You might also see a lot of trolls. So be very careful there, but you might get a bit of team news before the deadline. What's your take, Dean, on Darwin? I think he'll make it.
Look, I mean, I still haven't changed my opinion on Darwin Nunez as a general footballer. I think I find it bizarre. Like he just doesn't fit in as a Liverpool player. He's so different to everything else they have, and I find like some of the things that he does in the game just baffling at times. And it doesn't surprise me. Did you say it's a hamstring injury?
Yeah,
that doesn't surprise me. And I mean, obviously he's really fast.
He broke the record for the Premier League speed in that game.
Did he?
Yeah.
I mean, he's also lashing shots. Like, you know, talk about hit or miss. Like he literally hits it and doesn't know where it's going half the time. There was one shot last week. He hit the post and then the rebound came back. And it was terrible.
He went out for a throw-in.
Yeah, it was awful. But he does cause chaos, and I can see why, as an FPL player, a lot of people were drawn to him because he does unsettle people. I think defenders really will not like marking him. And it does give and has given Liverpool something different during some tricky times. So, you know, while I think that he's a very awkward and strange Liverpool player, I can understand totally why people want him. And I can see why they'd be tempted to play him in this game because Nottingham Forest could crumble. Someone mentioned Mo Salah, though, because if Nunez doesn't play, obviously Mo Salah will probably play central, and that's going to play on people's minds too in terms of captaincy. Yeah, Dal, do you think Salah captain's only better if Nunez doesn't play as he'll be central? And I think Salah central is like, you saw him in that game last weekend, and he's so much better there. Get him closer to goal and he'll deliver. And he's just been so lost out on the flank, and I just don't like to see it. I had him in on a free hit last week, but I haven't got him at the moment. Not in Forest. I'm trying to weigh up whether I need Salah. That's one of the things we talk about later on. But yeah, very interested on Darwin.
Yeah, I've just posted in the chat a stat on Mo Salah and with and without Darwin this season. And we might be able to show it on screen. The Mo Salah XGI, so expected goal involvement per 90 this season with Darwin in the team, is 0.39. He's expected less than one goal involvement in half a game, right? 0.39. Mo Salah without Darwin this season, so that was without 0.85. So he's almost twice as likely, more than twice as likely to perform a goal or an assist without Darwin in the team, which is telling. But Darwin, the reason why I want Darwin is a bit like you say, Dean, like he seemed to get loads of the chances. And I was looking at some of the underlying numbers. Now, this stat might blow you guys away. Darwin this season ranks first in the Premier League from all players, including Haaland, for touches in the opposition box, for shots, and for non-penalty XG. That's all per 90 stats. So when you combine his 90-minute totals, of which he doesn't get many, but pieced together, he gets more shots, more touches in the opposition box, and a higher XG non-penalty than even Haaland. Sure, he's not as good a finisher, but the fact he's getting the chances, for me, those stats just show me one thing. those big hauls are coming. He'll have some blanks, but he'll also have some big hauls. And I just think Forest, if he starts, could be one.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and Klopp clearly wants him to build confidence. He loves him. Like you see, anytime Nunez comes off, like Klopp's hugging him, patting him on the back, reassuring him, congratulating him, whatever it is suitable in that moment. He's giving him that love, and Klopp's invested in this. It's going to really sway which way Liverpool's season goes if he can. They need somebody to basically replace the goals that Mane used to score, right? And it basically is going to have to be Darwin at this point. Salah's still going to get decent goals haul. Jota's now out. It's difficult to see anyone else weighing in with big numbers.
I love how we all suit the narrative. Like, I'm spinning the narrative to justify my transfer choice this week because I'm looking at buying Darwin. Others are doing the opposite. So I've seen Nuclear Atoms junk stat. He won't be able to make the most of it. It doesn't matter the touches like Timo Werner, says Mohammed. Firmino's also rubbish when he plays. Like, it's fine. We all just spin the narrative. But if he goes and scores a hat trick, it'll be like, oh, that was a really wise comment. And if he blanks, I'll look stupid. But you're neither. It's just a game of a little bit of variance.
Yeah, absolutely that.
Good stuff, guys. That was awesome. That was our Off the Press feature. I know many of you are here probably to see our teams, but to see our suggested 11s first as well. So we're going to move on to see what Dean thinks, what players are going to make up the Chelsea and the United teams. That's a really big game that I'm very much looking forward to. I think that's the late game on Saturday. So let's move on to Pep Roulette.
Yeah, some big calls to make for both managers in this game, and been speaking to basically a few fans and journalists of both teams really to just try and get an idea of what to expect. Chelsea's a tough one, to be honest. Like, there's a few different things I'm not sure about. Chilwell, I mean, he's not in form. I just think I've put him in. I just feel
you've gone wing backs, haven't you?
I've gone wing backs.
Yeah.
Chelsea have got a bit of a wing-back problem, haven't they, this season? It doesn't seem like anyone's under Potter, like it doesn't seem anyone's really fitting the role or what he wants to do. Like, you've seen Sterling play there, for example. It's a tough one. I mean, I've put Aspilicueta one side and Chilwell. I'll be honest, like, I really don't know who's going to play those positions. There's even in my head at the moment, Pulisic obviously played really well in the last game. Yeah. I'm thinking, would he play him at wing back? I don't know. I don't know anymore. But he probably deserves to be in this team. And I'm not sure where he would fit in, because I think for a game of this magnitude, you go with that front three, you go Sterling and Mount with Aubameyang. I'm pretty sure that's what they'll do. I can't see Havertz figuring. Broja did pretty well, but I can't see him playing for a game like this. And then, CFC Blues are saying RLC wing back. And that's the other thing to consider.
We haven't seen that under Potter, have we? We saw Tuchel play him there, and he did really well. He played against Spurs at wing back, but not under Potter.
We haven't seen it, and it seems like he does like more attacking players than Loftus-Cheek to play there. Not to say he can't do it at all. Like you say, he can do it. So, be an interesting one there. What do you think, mate? What's your thoughts on the lineup?
Yeah. I was so surprised midweek against Brentford. He played a back four with Chalobah and Koulibaly as the two centre-backs. Like, Chalobah, sure, he can play centre-back, but in a three, it's Chalobah in a two. I was so surprised. But I'm with you. I think he'll go wing-backs, and I think Chilwell makes sense. We could see Cucurella play left centre-back. I wouldn't be surprised to see Aspi right wing-back. I don't think it'll be Loftus-Cheek, because we've not seen him there. But likewise, I think the shout of Pulisic as a wing-back in a Potter system, I think could work. We saw him do it a lot with Trossard. Wing-backs for Potter are essentially wide forwards, certainly on one side. So we could see that with Pulisic. Maybe that's where he finds his position. But he loves Loftus-Cheek. He's getting a lot of game time. Mason Mount has started every Premier League game, or every game, I think, under Potter, the only outfield player. So those two are nailed. Sterling had a rest, so he'll come in. And I think you've called it right with Aubameyang there as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if you get 10. But with Potter,
I think I'd be happy with 10 out of that. Yeah, it might even be 9, but it's as good a hunch as I could have at this stage. Going off of those games, the other thing we've got to consider at the moment too for everyone is rotation, because there's 4 games to come basically before the World Cup, and such a tight turnaround. You know, this midweek fixture has tested squad depth, and there'll be little niggles in squads that we don't know about. There'll be there'll be game management that we're not aware of. Mason Mount, for example, like he got dragged, didn't he, quite early in the Brentford game?
No, we thought that, and then he actually stayed on. They called him over, and it looked like he was coming off, and it was actually, I think, Havertz. So Mount stayed on the pitch and went to number 9. He played number 9.
Oh, did he?
Which is weird,
I didn't realise that. I saw that he was getting... Oh, right, okay. So, I mean, that means he's played a lot of minutes then, like recently, but he seems to be the go-to guy for, like, Potter's like building the team around Mason Mount at the moment.
Yeah. He's the only one from the attacking spots I'll be looking at from an FPL perspective.
I think so too. I'm kicking myself a bit because the week he got the first 2 assists, I'd been considering it. He got them and I was like, want him in. Kind of. There was one week we actually weren't recording, and I didn't forget to do my team, but I didn't go back to do my team, and that was the adjustment I was going to make to get Mount in, and I didn't do it. I was kicking myself. Yeah. But yeah, the Chelsea one is.
Oh, Mount apparently did go off, says Mohammed. Okay, I've got that completely wrong. I need to check that out. I thought he came off and then they went, no, go carry on, and he played number 9.
But okay.
I'll check it out.
Either way, yeah, Mason Mount is the. If you were to pick a Chelsea player in FPL right now, that's where I would be going, because he's gonna play. It looks like he is just gonna play, and the positions he gets in, the confidence he's got, seems like a good bet. But let's move on to the Man United team. Because look, kind of what's weird about this fixture, like before the midweek games, I'd have had this down probably as a nailed Chelsea win. Suddenly you're looking at United's performance and Chelsea's performance and result, and I'm like, not so sure. And the thing is with Ten Hag, he tends to reward lineups that have done well together. So on the back of that Tottenham win, I don't think we're going to see any significant changes. I mean, the big one for me is the spot next to Casemiro, where it's Fred, because Eriksen is now going to be fit. Does he play Eriksen and Casemiro together? But Fred's been really good, actually. He's been really good. And when that happens, Ten Hag doesn't tend to bring you out. But Eriksen was really, really good. Like Casemiro is playing really well now. So he's got this, I guess, dilemma, but it's a good dilemma to have, because at least they're all actually in form at the moment. Up front, Bruno Fernandes, since he was made captain of Man United, taking the armband off Maguire, has been much improved. He's really enjoyed the responsibility of the armband. His stats don't really reflect the control and dominance he's had on team performances. He was really good against Tottenham. Again, the top first half against Tottenham, United had more shots than they've had in any other game so far this season. They absolutely battered them, and they peppered the goal. They really did. And Fernandes was either having the shots or playing a role in setting them up. So I do think that he is a player to look out for. He's quite expensive, which is probably
9.8.
It seems
9.8 when you get Rashford for 6.6.
Yeah, so there won't be many people tempted by that. But I think that the front four probably takes care of itself. I mean, Anthony seems to have nailed down that spot. And while Martial's out, there's not much question as to who plays. Ronaldo obviously not available for this game because he's throwing his toys out the pram. But so I think that takes care of itself. A really interesting fixture, this one, though. As I say, had it down as a game Chelsea would win. Now, I mean, this game tends to be a draw. I think both games last season were a draw, and I think both games the season before that ended in a draw too. There's never much to split them.
Yeah, it's Chelsea and West Ham up next for United, but then knowing we're only looking at these 4-game stretches, I do think come game week 14, they got Villa and Fulham before the World Cup. They might be 2 fixtures you look at and go, Rashford might be worth a punt, because he's a player where he's got so much to play for come game week 15 and 16, because he'll still think if he scores big goals between now and then, he's got a chance of a World Cup call up. I don't know if he gets that, but if he's banging them in, Southgate might have a look. Sancho will probably think similar, but he's not showing the form to make it yet.
At all, is he? No. Yeah. Anthony's a funny one. I don't know. If you watch his games, he's so left-footed. I'm not sure. He's like Arjen Robben, basically. He's doing one thing. He's getting on his left. He's going to do a dummy.
Defenders will clock on, won't they? Show him the other way.
They kind of are already, but it is a bit like Robben, whereby with Robben just couldn't stop it. It was happening. He was going to cut inside. He was going to get it into that far corner. And Anthony is doing the same thing. He's not having, obviously, quite the same success in getting it into that far corner, but he's getting close to it, and I think he's a massive threat in this United team. So it is one we need to look out for.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, no Ronaldo, Paul. We don't think he'll be getting in the 11 in the Premier League anyway.
No, he's not even going to be in the squad. He's not involved at all for this game.
Yeah, very predictable. You're right, Spartans. Good to see 193 of you watching. Loads always come on around halfway through of these streams, guys. To get more eyes on us, do please feel free to add to the chat, but do hit that like button if you like what you're seeing, and if you're new around here, Mondays, Fridays at 7, hit that subscribe button and set those alerts for these streams that we do every week, twice a week. We've had our pep roulette, and look, we do this every week with some of the trickier teams it is to predict. And we'll let you know how Dean got on with that Chelsea United lineup. But I think that United lineup might be an 11 out of 11. But we've also going to be doing our team reveals on these Friday streams. And one thing we've put together is a wild card. We're going to see Dean's team, my team, and then a wild card draft. So let's check out our team reveals. FPL Zaha has asked about your team, Dean. We should mention if you haven't watched too much of Dean and I on this stream, Dean is a Fulham fan. But there's no Mitro in your team.
There's no Mitro, no. There actually was for the last game week, actually, because I played a free hit and Mitro was in my team. So the reason I haven't got Mitro is because I get enough joy out of watching Mitro like on a week-by-week basis at Craven Cottage. And I don't want to curse things while they're going well, even though that obviously doesn't exist. It's going to make zero difference to him whether he's in my FPL team or not. I'm happy to just like let other people have the points while I get to celebrate the real life stuff. So I'm just leaving it. I did get him in this week, as I say, because I was on a free hit. But the reason I was on a free hit, I didn't plan to, but I messed up my team 2 game weeks ago and didn't make a transfer that I should have made. And then
you would have had 8 or 9 players because you had Maddison as well.
Well, I had Maddison suspended and James picks up the injury. And then I had all the 3 City players and Jesus. And I was like, I was stuck. I just couldn't put out a good enough team. So I had to play the free hit in the end. And it was fine. I got 50 odd points and it was definitely better than I would have done.
And now you got Maddison because everyone sold Maddison. And I still think with the fixtures Leicester have got, Wolves and Everton in particular, having Maddison is really strong. And everyone that had him got rid of him because of the blank. Well, no.
Yeah. And now I am very happy with it. I got to say, like I'm looking at my team here and I'm perfectly happy with it. Well, I say perfectly happy with it. I've got one transfer. I'm not happy with the goalkeeper. I left him in like, unbelievably. I make the free hit, and it's the 1 week I actually kept Sanchez because I was like, well, this is the only week he's going to keep a clean sheet, and he did. So I was glad I kept it. I got 52 points. Matty, I got 52, which is obvious. It's okay. I don't know, what was the average? Average was 39. Yes. Got 52, so it's fine. But yeah, I have got this transfer still to use, and there's a temptation to use it on the goalkeeper because he's not going to do well this week, that's for sure. They've obviously got Man City away, but I've also got Reece James on the bench, who's 6 million and not playing for the foreseeable future. And there's this Mo Salah thing playing in the back of my mind whereby do I need him? And
you've got 3 million in the bank.
I've got 3 million in the bank. I've got unused Reece James on the bench. And I've got, well, I probably have to get rid of Maddison in order to make it happen, I guess. But I don't know. It's a dilemma. And I don't know if I don't turn to Salah, which is a stretch because he's so expensive. I don't actually know where else I would turn.
Yeah.
I don't know who I'm missing at the moment. Shout at me, people. Shout at me. Like, be
but
happy.
If James went down to a 3.9 Bueno, for example, I think
that's true.
You could then go maybe Aronson to Salah. You might just be able to stretch that.
Maybe, yeah, that's true. I'd forgotten that's a good shout actually to get.
Having Jesus as well is a really nice differential. I'd be really keen if I was you to hold Maddison and Jesus just because everyone else has binned them off. So they've become really nice differentials because neither of them played in game.
This is 12, the thing. The free hit has really actually done me a favour in a way because I definitely wouldn't have a couple of. I was planning to get rid of Bernardo and someone else would have gone too. It probably would have been Jesus, to be honest. But I'm happy to have them for this. The form that those teams are in, the fixtures that they've got. Bernardo against Brighton, Leicester, and Fulham. Jesus against Southampton, Forest, and Chelsea. Like I'm happy with it. Foden, Saka instead of Maddison and Bernardo.
No, I think you've got to ride you've got triple City. Going Bernardo to Foden feels too sideways. I know Foden's probably the better option, but he is more expensive too. I'd stick with
Yeah.
Bernardo and just hope that he performs because he can.
Yeah, people shouting Trent. I mean, I haven't even considered that because he hasn't really been somebody I've wanted all season. But I guess it's a conversation that now does become plausible. What's their fixtures beyond this? I haven't got,
Yeah, Liverpool fixture is all right. They're at the top of the
they're
ticker.
right.
The teams to target for the next 4: Liverpool, Spurs, West Ham, Everton have all got
Oh, is that
the best
right?
fixtures.
Maybe Trent then. Maybe Trent. But am I happy with this goalkeeper? He's literally going to do nothing. He's got
Could
Man
go
City,
Kepa.
Chelsea. I could go Kepa.
He's
That's a good
£4 and
shout.
he's really cheap. You still have loads of money, but you could go Kepa.
That's
Yeah.
that's not a bad shout. Yeah, obviously Man United. I do think they'll score. I think it'll be probably 1-1 or something like that. But as a long term goalkeeper, because I don't want Sanchez as my long term goalkeeper now, and Kepa as a long term goalkeeper is absolutely fine.
I like Haley's suggestion. Aronson up to Saka could just be a nice move without any hits. You've got the money for it. Saka is your boy. You backed him early in the season, and when everyone else was saying no, go Martinelli, you were loyal with Saka, and he's been brilliant the last few weeks.
That is true. Yeah, it doesn't sound like this knock's going to be too bad. Yeah. I'll be one of these ones sweating on the team news, but yeah, that's a good point. With Southampton and Forest next, that is something I should probably look at. Nice one, Haley. Appreciate it.
Yeah, good stuff. Okay, let's have a look at my team. I am in a bit of a dilemma this week. I'm definitely taking a hit, guys, and I'm taking a hit for Phil Foden. I can't get Foden in simply from going Trossard to Foden. So you'll see there when it says money in the bank, I'm on a minus 1.2. So I need to make another transfer. I haven't actually clicked the Foden transfer. I'll be making 2 together. Now, Foden went up in value last night. I was very aware he was going up and still didn't make the move because I've got 2 decisions here. So Trossard to Foden's happening. And then to get those funds, it's either Kane down to Darwin, but I'm hesitating because of that Darwin injury. And I'll be making a late call tomorrow on this. Or very simply, Lewis Dunk, who's on my bench and has Man City, then Chelsea. Lewis Dunk goes to Bueno, and then that allows me Foden to Trossard. So it's actually, it's not minus 1.2. I've got like something like 0.5 or 0.6. So Dunk to Bueno allows Trossard to Foden. So the question is, do I want to sell Kane to Darwin? And I think, given the fixtures, I think the Newcastle defence is really good. Sure, Kane can score 1 goal in that.
Yeah.
The Bournemouth defence isn't bad, and then it's Liverpool. I just think Darwin has a higher ceiling. I think Liverpool could smash Forest. I think they could also smash Leeds. So I kind of want a bit of that Darwin cover, that double Liverpool attack that not many have.
Yeah,
but I'm just hesitating on that knock.
No, I totally get it. And I mean, in terms of Kane, look, in the Man United game, he wasn't in the game. And we talked earlier on about the fact that Kulusevski is now out for a long time. Well, a reasonably long time, certainly the next few games. And that does affect the way that this team plays. And you do wonder I don't know what his XG has been over the last few, but like he scored points, but he hasn't, I like having him in my team because he does pick up regular points. Like that was the first time this season, or maybe since the first day of the season, actually. He got 2 points first day of the season, and he got 2 points last weekend. But every other week, he's picked up half decent points. Yeah. So I like having him in my team because he's pretty reliable for that. But I don't think it's a massive gamble to not have him because he's also not massively owned. So you're not really missing anything that everybody else has got.
Yeah. Other option I've seen in the chat, just a
Solanke.
Yeah, no chance FPL River. And I was so pleased he banked versus Southampton. But I could go Kane to Gabby Jesus, who you've got, Dean. So it doesn't have to be down to Darwin because, again, I think Jesus feels like a nice own knowing it's Southampton and then Forest. Jesus did play in the week against PSV, came off for Martinelli at 76 minutes. Just check that. And Jesus does get bags of chances. I always question the goals. But Andrew is second in the Chasing Green Arrows mini league. Can we still join the Chasing Green Arrows mini league? If we can, we'll let you know and we'll put it on the strap.
Yeah.
But we might be able to accommodate some more managers in that league.
Where am I in the Chasing Green Arrows? I'm 500th. So you're definitely doing better than me, Andrew. Dow keeps shouting out, like, what are your overall ranks? Mine is like 900 and something. I was quite comfortable. I was up at I think the highest I've been is 450. something like that, maybe 5, just towards 5. But this game week, I was quite strong. I was in like 600 or 700, and then I've got green arrows all over my screen in my mini leagues, but I'm down to 997,000, which I wasn't actually expecting. But
around 400. I think I'm 300 in the Chasing Green Arrows mini league, which is being won by Oscar Gobern, who's 979 overall rank. Andrew Shaw second is at 1.2k. So yeah, we got a good standard in that Chasing Green Arrows mini league.
Yeah, nice one, lads. That's really good.
Luke Rattam says Forest have tightened up. The manager signed new contracts. I don't like yet. You're right on both those things, but Liverpool are a different animal, and it's still Salah versus Steve Cook, and I think that could be big. And don't worry about the early kickoff nuclear. The players don't not perform in FPL because it's the early kickoff. That is not a thing.
Forest just aren't that good, are they? Like they're just not gelled, and it's not a surprise because they only met each other 2 months ago. Like it's impossible. Like Steve Cooper's got such a hard job. Because he's had to literally put 22 players into a dressing room and get them to know each other, speak the same language, play together, and then produce results in the most competitive league in the world. Like it's crazy. Do you see they sacked 2 of the recruitment guys? I'm like, that is a bit harsh. That is a bit harsh. Like give them a bit of time. And 2 months into the season, and you're new here. But yeah, I don't really rate Forest's chances that highly in this game.
Yeah, I'm not so sure either. Let's have a look at my wildcard team because, guys, I hope this is going to be useful for everyone watching tonight, not just those on a wildcard, because I don't think many are on a wildcard. But more importantly, these are players that I think you should be targeting for the next 3-4 weeks. So, of course, I've looked at those that are top of the ticker in terms of fixtures. They're your City, Arsenal, Liverpool, West Ham players. Every team right now should have triple City. I don't care if you're on a wildcard or not. Triple City is a must. And Cancelo, Haaland are the obvious, and then it's which midfielder do you go for. I've gone double Arsenal attack here. I think Saka and Martinelli as a double up's quite nice. I've written off a position with Archer, and again, just want to draw our attention to benches. We now know we've got 4 game weeks. We don't need money on our bench, guys. We don't need 4.5 defenders on our bench when we can have 3.9 Bueno on our bench. Get as much money in your starting 11. Have one good first sub. Like I would have Zuma as a sub, for example. I'm happy with that. And then I've got Bueno and Archer. So go really, really slim on your benches if you can, because there's only 4 weeks. There's no blank game weeks coming up either. Mm-hmm. The likes of, the players I'm picking are the guys that play week in, week out anyway. None of these guys are rotation risks. Darwin and Rashford, you might have a bit of a question mark over minutes, but you still expect appearance points, even if they don't start. So Pickford in goal. I like the fixtures. I've gone light at the back, but Trippier still makes it in. He's been smashing it. I mentioned the Arsenal lads. Rashford's one to monitor. I don't love the Chelsea West Ham fixtures, but then it's Villa and I think Fulham in 16 or 15. And then, I've gone for a punt on Darwin. So lots of attacking talent in that team. What do you think, Dean?
Yeah, I love it. I'm actually looking at it right now, and I'm like looking at my own screen, thinking, what do I need? What do I do? But you're right. Obviously, the 3 cities, you need that core throughout there. Martinelli and Saka, it's probably a good option, isn't it? Like, why are we going one or the other? Like, why can't we figure out a way to get both? Trippier is like a must-have this season. Like, we suggested it might be at the start, but we didn't realize that Newcastle were going to be this good defensively. It was mainly from an attacking point of view. We were keen on Trippier, and defensive points were a bonus. But that's actually flipped. Newcastle, like, clean sheets are almost a guarantee these days, and you're just hoping he can swing a free kick in or something. Yeah. Pickford, like, what a season he's having! Like, what a season! I mean, don't get me wrong. The reason he's having such a good season is because he's so busy. He's got so much to do in the Everton team, and they've got a lot to thank him for. But yeah, good pick because he has to make saves. So even if he's not keeping the clean sheets, he's having to make saves every single week, and that's not going to change even with that Crystal Palace, Fulham, Leicester games to come.
Yeah, guys in the chat, let us know what you think to this wild card. Give us a number out of 10. I'm not expecting a huge amount of love here, but honest opinion, it's light at the back. There's no Trent. The midfield 5 is amazing. Like, that's an awesome midfield 5, but I've written off the third forward, so I can't accommodate a Tony or a Mitro if they score, or a Callum Wilson. So rate this out of 10. Give us a number. Is it an 8? Is it a 9? Keen to see what you guys think. Well, 8.9 says never give up. CFC Blue says 8. I'm sure it'd be a 9 if there was a Chelsea player. Andy's only given me a 7. Vindy with an 8. Mikael with a 7.2. Nice. CH with a 7.3. I expected better. A few 7s. Or Matty doesn't like the 2 strikers. I mean, you must like Haaland, Matty. A 10. Thank you, Historia Films. Dahl has given us a 1. There is always one Dahl. Thank you for filling that quota. Yeah, well, come on, Dean. What would you give it?
I'd give it an 8. We've got some concern over Rashford. I know he's a good value, but I'm going to talk about Rashford in a minute. So stick around because we are going to analyse Rashford in a minute. Don't like it. You know I don't like Darwin Nunez, so I'm knocking you down on those 2 picks.
I feel that. I'm gonna give this guy, guys. I'm gonna give my team a 9 because I spent a long time putting it together. And honestly, if I was wildcarding right now, I'd genuinely be going with this. And I know loads will be going, why the hell do you not have a Trent, for example? But you can't have them all. Guys, we're gonna look at some of the players we think you shouldn't have. As Dean hinted. There's a midfielder in this team. He's gonna sell the idea of not owning, and I've picked a really popular asset up top as well, and we're going to tell you why we shouldn't go for either of these picks in against the obvious. If you haven't seen this before, this is 60 seconds worth of reasoning why you should not pick one of these very popular assets. Sometimes these upset people, but we're willing to go there.
We are, and I am afraid, people, that I am going to say don't pick Marcus Rashford, or don't feel you have to pick Marcus Rashford for the next game week. And here are the reasons why. Look, okay, so he's 15% owned. And at 6.6 million, it is tempting because he is going to be a striker for at least the next couple of games while we're waiting for Martial to return. There's going to be no Ronaldo for the foreseeable future after his tantrum. The threat is there. I understand that. I'm just not convinced by his ruthlessness. I don't know that this guy is going to score. Like the goals that he scored so far this season, like even in the Arsenal game where he got 2, didn't really see any sign of them coming. And I wasn't convinced he was going to score in that game. I know he did, but I just never feel like he's going to, and I don't trust him to. I like him. Honestly, I'm not here to batter Marcus Rashford or put him down on a personal level because I'm not that kind of person, and especially towards him. In terms of FPL, I just don't think he's a go-to even when United are good. Martinelli is 6.7, Zaha's 7.5. If you're desperate for a United player, I'd go the extra million, get Anthony, who's a much bigger threat, more likely to score. Yeah, I would just leave Marcus Rashford alone.
What is it about his finishing, Dean? Because every time he's through on goal, no matter, he can be 5 yards out with an empty net and he still laces it. I have never seen this guy composed. He has one way of hitting the ball, and that's brilliant. When you're 30 yards out and he has that technique, it's brilliant. Why, when he's one-on-one with a keeper, does he insist on lacing the football? I don't get it. Just slot it.
Well, he didn't used to do it. I mean, he did used to be clinical. Like when he was coming through, if you think back to when Rashford made his breakthrough, wasn't it that season? It was like Rashford and Iheanacho. It was like the two going head to head in Manchester. Like which one's going to be the star boy, basically. And Rashford, he used to be good at one-on-ones, and he looked like he was going to be like a serious goal threat all of the time. But I don't see it anymore. I presume a lot of it is down to confidence. I think a lot of it is that he's turning himself into a left-sided attacker. But even as a wide attacker, he rarely gets at people like he used to. Rarely. I think, look, maybe mentally, all the abuse got to him. I think that's definitely plausible. Like it got to Maguire. I think Rashford went through such a tough time. Times I've watched United and he's like, you got to go at him. And he just doesn't. He just turns around and passes it back to the midfielder. And you're like, this is nothing like how you used to play. And I watch him now, and he definitely is more of he fits the system under Ten Hag because he can stretch the back line. He's fast. He'll make runs. He'll chase people down. So it's stuff there that Ronaldo can't do, and he's closer to what Martial does. Mm-hmm. But I think United need to find a striker in January. I really do, because Martial is just not trustworthy in terms of actually getting onto the pitch.
Minutes.
And
Yeah.
Rashford is probably going to be competing with Sancho for that spot on the wide left
Yeah.
rather than here, which is a shame because like Rashford could easily be a striker. Like he did used to be a striker. And I know Ten Hag, desperate when he came in, was like, I will fix him. Like it's one of my first jobs is fix Marcus Rashford because I've got there a star. Don't forget, like United had Mason Greenwood all set to play this role. They had someone who would be banging for this system. Like Mason Greenwood would have been perfect. And they had basically £100 million footballer that they can't use anymore. Like it's a massive asset that's just been stripped.
5 years ago, him and Mbappe were like, oh, which one's going to be the bigger superstar? And Rashford's probably gone downhill. I don't think he's had the coaching. I think he's suffered from Ollie being his coach for a long time. I think Ten Hag
but you'd have thought
improve him. But...
You know, since Solskjaer was a good finisher himself, so it's strange that that's happened. Dale says Rashford is the most overrated footballer on the planet. I mean, that's definitely a bit harsh, but
Dale wants me in his team instead. I mean, I am playing 11-a-side tomorrow, and I might be starting, and I'm very nervous because it will be like my first 11-a-side start at a proper football match for about 20 years.
Mate, I honestly don't think I'll ever do it again. I don't know when my last one was, but I think I've reached the point. I decided in lockdown, actually, when it had got to it'd been such, I was like, I think that's gone. I think it's just fives for me for now. 5 or 6 aside is probably my limit now.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Good luck,
guys.
I'm
thanks. I'll update you on Monday where I will not be able to walk. That is a guarantee, guys. I'll give you my against the obvious. And again, I've gone for an equally as big a name in probably more teams. 11.4% owned, similar. This is why you should not pick Heung-min Son. I've been so disappointed with Son. I know he had that one game where he came off the bench and got the 18 points, but in terms of double digits, when you're picking someone for 11.8 million, you want those hauls. You want players with the high ceiling. Son has only hit double digits once this season, and that was when he came off the bench. We weren't able to predict that. It's really tricky. You could say similar to Kane, who's ticking along nicer and probably got more consistent returns. But again, he's not smashing the double digits. I think between them, they've hit it 3 times. When I'm spending that sort of money, I want a Salah or even a Darwin. I put a higher ceiling on. Even a Foden, a higher ceiling. These guys are much, much cheaper. I just think when you look at that price, it's an absolute swerve. The way Spurs are playing, I wouldn't be surprised if Newcastle get something against Spurs tomorrow. And then next up, it's Bournemouth. And look, Bournemouth, they're no mugs. They're pretty solid defensively. So I don't back Spurs to go big in either of the next 2. Therefore, Son and probably Kane are players I'd be swerving. I own Kane. I think I'm selling him.
Yeah, it's fair. FPL River says exactly what I was going to say. £11.8 million at this rate, like, it's too much. Like at the start of this, he was like pushed. He went up like $1 million, didn't he, from last season?
Yeah.
He had a big hike, and it was fair enough. Like he won the Golden Boot, whatever, and had an unbelievable year. But he's just not the same player at the moment. He's not awful, far from it. Like he's got to be important, especially Kulusevski out. But he's just not getting into those same areas. I don't know if it's because the Tottenham system's changed. Maybe they are too counter-attacking. Maybe it's because of the importance of the wing-backs now is so extreme that Son's role has changed a bit. There's not even that link-up between him and Kane that we used to see all the time. Like that was the best thing that Tottenham had.
Yeah.
And we've barely seen it all season. It's very strange.
Yeah, it is. It is indeed. Guys, thank you so much for that. I hope you enjoyed our Against the Obvious features. And look, we've still got a couple of minutes to answer a few of your questions. I just wanted to give a little shout out to a new channel around here. Now, look, many in the FPL community are avid cricket fans, and we've come up with a brand new cricket channel. Yeah, that's right. And it will be like a fantasy cricket focus as well as obviously all things cricket. So do check out Chasing the Target. Do you like the name? See what we did there? Chasing the Target, Chasing Green Arrows. So you can check us out on YouTube, and we'll have lots of shows on Chasing the Target with Cricket Chat coming up in the not too distant. Obviously, it's a big month for Chelsea, for cricket coming up. I've just seen FPL Harry with 2-0 Chelsea distracting me. So yeah, look forward to that. Guys, if you've got any questions, we've got a couple of minutes left. But yeah, we should probably finish on that game. The Chelsea United game for me is the game of the weekend, Dean. What's your prediction there? Because that United 11 you've put together, which I think you're 11 out of 11 on, does look strong, and they were so good against Spurs. But I think Chelsea might still edge it. But that's just me being an optimistic fan.
Yeah, I mean, look, Potter's unbeaten, so it's hard for me to predict a United win here. But I do think, like, United's last performance, it was so good. Like, but can they replicate it away from home at Stamford Bridge against a good team? Even if they do they beat Chelsea? I'm sitting on the fence. I'm going 1-1. I think 1-1 would actually be a good result for both teams too. And like I say, I think the last 4 between these two have been a draw anyway. It's going to be tight.
Yeah. 2 last questions. One from Harry, one from Mohammed. Mitro out for Darwin. Ooh, for a -4. I wouldn't be selling Mitro for a hit.
Don't do it.
I am looking at selling Kane for a hit for Darwin, which is strange that I'm telling you not to for a player half of Kane's price.
Don't take Mitro out for this game. Don't. Look, I'll be honest. He does keep. I'm not sure he's fully fit. I have to say, like, watching him, I'm not convinced he's fully fit. He has been down a few times.
Yeah.
And obviously, like, he is nursing. He's still coming back from the injury. Got an international break. But look, the next 2 games for Fulham, Leeds and Everton, are so important to Fulham. Yeah. And he'll be desperate to be part of it. And he just doesn't want to miss a minute because, like, Fulham are playing so well and he's flying.
Goals,
I think it's a massive gamble if you take him out.
He came off at 84 minutes, which, I'd suggest he might still be monitoring that because, they were cruising 3-0 up, bring him off.
Yeah, and to be honest, I wanted him off before that. I got to like 75 and I was like, why is he on the pitch? Just get him off.
Yeah.
Like, we've won this game. There's no way Villa are coming back.
And then FPL Harry's question, it's a good one. Would you take a -4 for Saka, who Harry's planning on getting next week anyway, by the looks of it, or just play Solanke so it can be free next week? I think I'd probably play Solanke and be patient, and it's coming from me, and I'm quite an erratic FPL manager. But Saka has been very good. But knowing he has had the knock, I think I'd struggle to justify the hit. That's little bit like me with Darwin, and I might know the answer to that because Liverpool playing first. We won't 100% know with Arsenal, knowing they don't play in that first game before the deadline.
Yeah,
so for me, I think I'd wait.
Yeah, I think you've nailed it. Absolutely.
Good stuff, guys. I look forward to showing you how we got on Monday's show. Remember, we do these shows every Monday, every Friday at 7. Before you leave us, please do hit that like button. And don't forget, of course, to subscribe to the channel. But for now, he's been Dean, I've been Gianni, and we've been chasing green arrows.